Very good afternoon and welcome to the BBC News at 1. The American actor and comedian Robin Williams has been found dead at his home in California, having apparently taken his own life. He was 63. Robin Williams had a long career that started with his zany portrayal of an alien in the 1970s TV show Mork and Mindy. He went on to become famous for films such as Good Morning Vietnam and Dead Poets Society, and he won an Oscar for his role in Good Will Hunting. But he struggled with depression and addiction to drugs and alcohol. Our Los Angeles correspondent Alistair Leithhead reports.
It was this zany alien that propelled Robin Williams to stardom. Mork and Mindy was a huge TV hit in the late 1970s and early 80s, and he was soon making himself heard on the big screen.
Good morning, Vietnam!
It won him a Golden Globe and an Oscar nomination.
Look at me, son.
His versatility and talent eventually rewarding him with an Academy Award for Good Will Hunting.
This might be the one time I'm speechless.
But it's his comic roles he'll best be remembered for.
Euphigenia Doubtfire, dear. I specialise in the education and entertainment of children.
He was due to start filming a follow-up to his famous role as Mrs. Doubtfire next year. Robin Williams was discovered unconscious and pronounced dead at his home in Northern California. The coroner suspects suicide. He'd struggled with drug and alcohol addiction and was suffering from depression.
My heart is broke today. My heart is broke. I mean, Robin was a national treasure. He's a comedic legend, a dramatic legend. He will be missed. He will be missed.
But world cinema has lost one of its biggest stars.
One only hopes that, he's gone to a good place.
Grieving fans came to pay tribute at his star on Hollywood's Walk of Fame.
He was one of the greatest men alive, and I'm going to miss him a lot. And today the comedy died.
Robin Williams was one of those rare talents whose work crossed generations, from the 1970s of Mork and Mindy through Mrs. Doubtfire, all those characters he created on screen, on television. And he's someone who, from what we've been hearing from Twitter and from all those comments from around the world, will be sorely missed. Alistair Leithhead, BBC News, on Hollywood Boulevard, Los Angeles.
Well, Robin Williams' frenetic energy and quick wit as a performer masked his personal troubles off the screen and stage. He struggled with drink and drugs in the 1970s and 80s, and although he managed to overcome his addictions for 20 years, he eventually returned to them and was said by his publicist to have recently been battling severe depression. Our arts correspondent David Silito looks back now at his life.
This is why I had to give up alcohol, because you have to pay the next day. Pray, dear Lord, please don't hurt me now.
At his peak, his brain could come up with jokes, characters, situations faster than you could even begin to process them. The phrase used over and over was manic energy. But those routines about drink and drugs, he was speaking from real experience.
When people medicate themselves, there's, other things, trying to resolve, or you're trying to shut down, or trying to, well, like I said, with cocaine, it was to realize the famous disappearing, medicating to deal with that loss.
In case of emergency, the exits are here, anywhere.
In Aladdin, they simply rewrote the film around his exuberant performance. And it wasn't just a quick-fire armour of jokes and characters.
Free up your mind, use your imagination. Say the first thing that pops into your head, even if it's total gibberish.
His best roles revealed an actor who seemed to have great geysers of emotion lying just below the surface. He may have kept the drink and depression at bay for many years, but in recent months, that sobriety needed, in the words of his publicist, some fine-tuning.
So often people are surprised when you say someone who spread such joy had bouts of depression. But I understand recently it was severe depression. So much so that he checked himself back into rehab in just weeks ago. Hey, stop!
His mother, he said, had at times also been a drinker. There were childhood experiences he occasionally alluded to with a shudder. The story of the comedian or clown that is in private sad, tormented, is almost a cliche. But Chaplin, Hancock, Milligan, Robin Williams was far from alone.
We've definitely heard a lot of comedians and people in the entertainment industry talk about mental health problems like depression. And some of them will say, well, it's a coping strategy. I look at life differently, and actually to help me get through life, I take quite a comedic slant on life.
But the group with the highest risk of suicide, it's not comedians, it's middle-aged men. In July, the last photo Robin Williams posted was a birthday message. A dad saying happy birthday to his daughter, who he said would always be his baby girl. David Siletto, BBC News.
Well, our arts editor Will Gompertz is in Edinburgh for us. And Will, how would you assess the legacy of Robin Williams?
Well, he was an extraordinary performer. He actually performed here in Edinburgh early in his career in the 70s. And what he did was he gave you everything he had. You were in no doubt that you had the full Robin Williams. And that was an amazing thing to be on the receiving end of, whether it was in a theatre or in a cinema. The problem with that, of course, is it leaves a huge gap for a performer. And as we've just been hearing, he replenished that gap. He replenished his soul with alcohol and with drugs, not, he said, because he wanted to get up, but because he wanted to get out, get down. We saw, as an audience, the manic side of Robin Williams. We didn't see the depressive side, which he kept secret, but I think we did see a hint of it in his filmic performances. What was quite extraordinary about him is, as an actor and as a comedian, was he was able to go from the goofy, funny guy to a really nuanced character actor, as we saw in things like Good Will Hunting and Dead Poets Society. And that, I think, we began to see the depth of his character and the sensitivity of the man, actually.
OK, Will, thank you very much. And there's more on this story on the BBC News website, and there you'll find more reaction to the death of Robin Williams. The latest video and pictures and all of that is at bbc.co.uk/news.